this video, we're going to take you through 3 assessments that we give to all of our runners. The purpose of this is that we can start to identify what's truly going on and help us reveal a lot of information and how it relates to potential pain and injury and also performance deficits down the road. The first assessment we're going to run through is what we call the prone heel to butt test. So I'm going to have Larry, my athlete and client, lie face down on the ground. And what we're looking to do with Larry is just to identify, does he have the prerequisite range of motion to run for high volumes of training, to run quickly if needed. So we're looking at what we call hip extension and knee flexion. So with Larry flat on the ground, I'm going to take his heel and see if I can bring it up, making contact like so. A full test for the prone heel to butt test is the ability to make contact with the heel coming up towards the butt. While I'm performing this test, I'm also making sure I ask Larry, my client, does he feel any sensations? Does he feel any discomfort? Does he perhaps feel a stretch in his quad? Does he feel any low back pain? And if so, that's indicative that this is something we need to maybe look into a little bit more deeper. So I'm going to come up, prone heel to butt, I'm looking, can we make contact? Asking Larry how that feels.
Feels good.
Feels good. Come back down, and then I'm going to repeat on the opposite side as well. And so the implications of this test are as if I had Larry stand back up, and now we're in the running position, I'm looking at, can he drive his hip into extension while combining knee flexion? And if not, that tells me I'm not going to probably give him the green light to do all the things he was doing prior. And this could be the reason why he's experiencing some low back pain, because he's compensating through the low back. Maybe he's also dealing with some knee and ankle pain, because again, he doesn't have the prerequisite range of motion to do the things he's been doing prior. The next assessment we're going to run through is what we call the ankle dorsiflexion test. So I'm going to have my client using a wall, using a rig, any form of upright. This is going to be our base of measurement. So as you can see on the floor here, I have a piece of tape that I've laid out about 4.5 inches from the upright. And this is going to allow me to be a little bit more objective in looking at his range of motion. So Larry, being a male, we would want him to have about 5.5 inches of range of motion. So what he's going to do, he's going to put his big toe at the edge of that piece of tape, and while keeping his heel flat on the ground, I'm going to ask Larry to take his knee, moving it forward towards the upright, and see if he can make contact. And this is what we call dorsiflexion. The goal for him, being a male, he should be able to make contact without his heel coming up off the ground. While making a note, any pain, discomfort, tightness, that's going to give us some more information as to what's going on. And for a female, we would have the toe now at the other corner of that, now indicating 4.5 inches of range of motion, and repeat the same test. The implications of the ankle dorsiflexion test are looking, do we have the ability to absorb force up through the lower body, through the ankle, through the knee, and into the hip? So as Larry's going to demonstrate, as he gets into a running position and he's making contact, we want to make sure that there's an adequate force absorption mechanism through that ankle rather than potentially running on a stiff peg leg if he doesn't have that necessary range of motion. Ankle dorsiflexion, really important for us to look at when we're experiencing ankle, but also knee and potentially hip pain as well. The next assessment we're going to look at is the lateral step down test. So we're going to start with a box height of about 12 inches. Feel free to scale that back if needed. And so what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at one side of the body versus the other. And Larry's going to step up to the outside of this box. And so this is a really good assessment. You can even do on your own if you were to place a mirror in front of you. Now you can look at what's happening through this leg that you're standing on. And so what we're going to have Larry do is taking this opposite leg, I'm going to have him imagine he's dipping his toe into a pool, let's say, just to check the temperature of the water. Coming down, tapping, and then coming all the way back up. We'll start with just tapping the big toe, and then if we can progress, we'll go to a full foot on the ground, and then finally even tapping the heel as kind of our final level of measurement. And what I'm looking at here on this leg is a lot of different stuff. I'm looking at, can he tolerate some compressive loads on the back of the heel here, what we call the Achilles tendon? Does he have the adequate ankle range of motion, the dorsiflexion, through a mobility loaded point of view? I'm looking at how does his knee feel in this position? Because this is going to be something that mimics a lot of running. I'm also looking at the hip and what's happening here on the other hip. Is there a lot of a drop down with this, or is he staying relatively level? And I'm also looking at some balance. So if we take the findings of this assessment and we relate it to the sport of running, which broken down is just a series of single leg hops over and over and over again, we want to make sure he has the ability to perform this relatively effectively without falling over, without having his hip drop, without this knee going over and having some ankle pain on the backside. We want to make sure we can check the boxes of performance, taking this exam, assessment, and relating it into running. So with these 3 assessments now completed, you have enough information to better guide your decision making on what you need to do for yourself or your clients. If there's some limited range of motion, maybe you do some mobility drills. If there's some strength stuff, you need to make sure you have specificity in your exercises. And if you're unsure what the best next step needs to be, we're here for you as a resource.